Recently, we did a video here on Black Bear Forge looking at how you could use a battery backup system such as the Jackery HomePower 3600 Plus to run the shop and keep working even when the power was out, or even as a primary power source if your shop doesn't have any electrical outlets in the first place. This is enough power to keep most small shops running. You had a few questions about what kind of things would it run? Would it run the induction forge, for instance, or a welder? That kind of stuff, and I thought I would try to answer that. So in cooperation with Jackery, who is sponsoring today's video, we're going to take a little bit deeper dive into the Jackery HomePower 3600 Plus. Designed specifically for modern households of 3 to 6 people, combining power, safety, and portability in one complete home backup package. Jackery's essential home backup solution powers your home essential devices during an outage. 6,000 plus cycles delivering over 10 years of durability. This is a long-term investment engineered to last 10 plus years, not just an emergency gadget. Even with daily use, the battery still retains 70% capacity after 10 years, including a 3-year standard warranty with a 2-year extension, far above industry standards for long-term peace of mind. Seamless UPS switching in less than 10 microseconds keeps essential devices like computers and medical equipment running without interruption. The Jackery HomePower 3600 Plus has 420 volt outlets at 20 amps, 120 volt outlet at 30 amps. This is suitable for plugging an RV into, so you don't have to run that noisy gas generator when you're camping. Also has 2 USB-A ports and 2 USB-C ports. It has an AC in port for charging off grid power, or you can charge this off a gas-powered generator if grid power isn't available. It has 2 DC in ports for charging from solar panels. You can connect this to solar panels up to 1,000 watts, and you can charge from solar and AC simultaneously if you need to. It includes circuit breakers for electrical protection. There is an AC expansion port, so you can expand the AC output capabilities of this by paralleling another unit with this. DC expansion port, so you could add more battery capacity. This 3,600 watt unit can be expanded up to 21 kilowatt hours of battery capacity, and that's enough to power an average refrigerator for a family of 3 up to 14 days. The overall weight is 77 pounds, so this is a portable unit. The wheels make it particularly easy to move from place to place. I just got a message from Jackery about a Dallas Mavericks giveaway. I'll have more information on that at the very end of the video. Now personally, I'm not stuck in the past. I like my modern conveniences, like electric lights. And the Jackery 3600 is more than capable of running all of the lights that I typically use here in the shop. I think I counted 20 100-watt equivalent LED bulbs, and this is running at 178 watts, estimates 15 hours time remaining on 86% charge. Now, a lot of what I do here in the shop these days is make videos. So I use other lighting besides just the regular room lighting. I use some specialized video lighting. And I can plug this into here. Right now it's a little bit too bright because I've got the camera settings set lower, but this is more than enough to run all of that power draw. And it thinks I can go for 10 hours with all the lights in the shop on. With the USB outlets, I can keep my microphone charged up. I could even charge some camera batteries or batteries for my portable lights. Now, at some point, you got to kind of pick and choose what you're going to run on here. Now, there are switches on the front that you got to make sure you turn on the USB power or the AC power, depending on what you're running. There's plenty of power to charge batteries for your cordless tools. And the only problem here is I've used up all of my receptacles, but I could plug a power strip in here and have more. Or if you do the AC expansion, you get another full set of receptacles. So I'm going to unplug the video lights there, since that's not a very realistic load for most people. You don't just have to charge batteries for cordless tools. This has the power to run corded power tools like an angle grinder. Now that is a pretty big power draw. It thinks it can only run the lights and this simultaneously for about 3 hours. But I don't know about you. I don't ever want to have to run an angle grinder for 3 hours straight, so I'm okay with that. Now don't forget to keep your cell phone charged up so you don't miss calls from potential customers. Now in the previous video, we looked at running the forge blower over in the other shop so you can work at the coal forge. Run that blower most of the day probably. But what if you're one of those people that's kind of on a budget and you're using a hairdryer as a blower for your blacksmithing forge? Runs on both speeds. Now, because this hairdryer still has the heating element active, this is only going to run for about an hour and a half, 2 hours on this. And if it was the only thing running, it would last a little bit longer. But if you got a hairdryer with the heating element disconnected, or it has an air-only switch on it, this would probably run it for quite some time. Now, talking about forge blowers, this was more than capable of running the forge blower of the little shop as we've seen. It would be more than capable of running the forge blower on the new forge in this shop, except that I outsmarted myself and this forge is hardwired in, so I don't have a plug-in that I can plug into this. There is a transfer switch available that you can hook up to your breaker panel, and in a power outage, you can switch from your grid power over to the Jackery 3600 Plus and keep working with all of your stuff plugged in where it's normally plugged in. There's a limited number of circuits in that, so you have to pick and choose which circuits you want to run. But if I was going to leave this up here all the time and it was going to be a permanent addition to the shop, I would probably set it up with a transfer switch because that would be so handy. Then the blower on this forge would work, the lights would work, I wouldn't have to be running around with extension cords. Certain circuits would just work. Even in a situation like that, though, you have to manage your expectations. This has a limited amount of power in it. Expanding it by adding more battery banks is a wonderful option. You get a lot more power use out of it. Expanding the AC side so you can run more power while you're using it would be great. But it still pays to know how much power something draws. How long can you run the grinder? How long can you run the Little Giant power hammer? Yes, this will run my 25-pound Little Giant power hammer with the 1-horse motor on it. Doesn't seem to have any problem. Hammer doesn't seem to care. Runs wonderfully on that. But it's going to be a limited amount of time that you can run a power hammer off of something like this. So you have to prioritize and budget your power use when you're working with something like this. But just out of curiosity, what else will this run? A lot of people ask about the induction forge. Will this run the induction forge? Well, the simple answer is no, it will not, because this is 120 volts with a maximum 30 amp output. Induction forge is 240 volts with a 40 amp input. So this is just simply not sized to run something like this. It's got nothing to do with the electronics. It just isn't designed for that function. Same thing goes for the Samac power hammer. That's running off of a much bigger motor than what this is going to be able to handle. And the hydraulic press, although there may be some smaller hydraulic presses that aren't running on 240 volt power. So it just depends on what you have in your shop. But in any case, realistic expectations. This will keep a small shop going, running simple hand tools, lights, forge blowers, all that stuff. If you need to, you can charge it up while you're using it using the optional solar panels. Jackery did send me some Solar Saga 500 panels. This will take 2 of those panel setups so you can charge at 1,000 watts if you need to. And that really makes a big difference in how long you can work with a unit like this. Panels are weatherproof, so you can leave them out in the rain if you need to. Not going to hurt anything if you want them out permanently or semi-permanently. I just have mine set up with the hinges that allow them to accordion fold, and they can just be set out on the ground that way. That makes them very quick and easy to deploy. And if you need to, you can add extension cables to the solar panels, so the Jackery 3600 doesn't have to be sitting out in the sun with the panels. It can be brought into the building. Well, let's try a couple of other loads that this may or may not want to run, things that I didn't try the last time. Let's start off by seeing if it will run my drill press. That's 120 volts. So no problem running the drill press. What about a 30-year-old bench grinder? Heck, this might even be older than that. I gotta put some nicer wheels on that little grinder so it does drill bits more cleanly. I am sure it will run the little portaband. Will it run a chop saw? You bet it will. Now there is one other thing I would like to try, and this is where managing your expectations really comes in. I don't really have high hopes that this will run a welder, but it might. And this welder has a dual voltage adapter here, so I can actually plug this in to 120 volt power. And in theory, it's going to do something. It seriously diminishes the capacity of the welder when you're running it on half the voltage, but it should do something. Well, it definitely powers up the machine, and it knows I'm in 120 volts, and I'm set for 22 gauge material here. Let's up that. Let's see if we can weld on its 18 gauge settings. The answer is it will not weld at that setting. And that's the welder that doesn't like it, not the Jackery. This is back to the lowest setting. Like I say, it's all about realistic expectations, and I did not realistically expect that this was going to run a welder. This is not a way to turn your multi-process shop welder into a portable welder. But I didn't really expect it to be. I was just kind of curious. Overall, though, I am really impressed in what this unit will run. It would keep most small blacksmith shops operational for a full day. You can take it back to the house and charge it, or you can hook it up to the solar panels, charge it that way. Lots of different options. The other realistic thing about this, for me anyways, is that I do have power in the shop. Most of the time, I don't need this. Although I have used this up here in the last month because the power was out, and this really came in handy. Let me get a full day's work in when otherwise I would not have been able to. Anyways, this will probably live in the house because that's where it is most important. The shop is a secondary concern. Being able to keep the refrigerator running and keep food fresh in a power outage, being able to cook, have some lights on in the house. This will run a crock pot, an Instapot, toaster oven, all of that kind of stuff without any problem. And of course, it'll run your coffee pot. After the coffee's brewing, pour it in a insulated to-go cup, keep it warm, and then turn the burner off, and your battery's going to last a lot longer than leaving that heating plate on the coffee pot running all day, especially if you forget it like I do sometimes. And for us here, power outages in the winter are really quite common. A couple of times a year, it will go out for 12 hours or more. Frequently, you have a storm overnight, power's out when you wake up in the morning. And if you want to have coffee, if you want to cook breakfast, this really comes in handy. And some of these power outages go on for more than a day. If you live in a hurricane zone, tornado zone that causes serious damage to the power grid, You may be without power for days at a time, and this thing can really provide you with some peace of mind and convenience. Gas generators are great, but they're noisy. You got to go get gas. In those situations, the lines at the gas pump are going to be long. And if you live in an apartment or a condo, something like that, you're not going to be able to run a gas generator. So this would be the ideal solution in those circumstances, as well as running your off-grid blacksmith shop. Anyways, I would like to thank Jackery for sponsoring today's video. Help from paid sponsors really makes the content here at Black Bear Forge possible. It allows me to branch out a little bit, do things like the coal forge we just made, the gate, things that I might not otherwise be able to afford to do. But with the help of paid sponsors like Jackery, it makes a big difference. And of course, viewers like you who are taking your time to watch the videos, enjoying the videos, hopefully learning something. It all helps make the channel successful. So thanks again, Jackery. Thank each and every one of you for watching the video. As I was wrapping up this video, I got a message from Jackery about a Dallas Mavericks giveaway. They're giving away VIP suite tickets for you and 3 friends, along with airfare and lodging to go to the game. This is a great deal. All you have to do is share your Jackery story, tag Jackery, include the hashtags below, and you can be entered to win. So if you're a Mavericks fan or just want an excuse to get a little mini vacation, this might be a great deal to get in on. I'll leave more information and a link for the giveaway below, as well as a link to Jackery's website, so you can check out the Jackery HomePower 3600 for yourself or any of Jackery's other home power solutions. Anyways, I want to thank you again for watching the video today. Hope you have time in your day to get out to your shop, make something, have fun, but stay safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next video.